This is the industrial side. Most industrial businesses are either won or lost in the day-to-day operations. These are conversations with the operators who run these firms, talking about how they run them, what works, and what doesn't. Rachel McGrath, how you doing?
Hi, glad to be here, Brian.
Yes. So for those who have not had the pleasure of meeting you, you're the CEO of Tower Products. How many years have you been going on strong now?
Gosh, 2.5.
2.5. You acquired the company, and
Ye-
what exactly does this company do?
So we make technical chemicals of, I would describe, medium complexity. It's just mixing chemicals together, no reacting anything, no cracking anything apart,
Okay.
just mixing them together. And those chemicals optimize the performance of a variety of printing machines. We sell those to distributors within the industry. And we ensure that the performance is actually optimized by offering really good, strong technical service. We have a group of guys that are distributed throughout the country and one guy in Latin America. Those guys will go to your press room and make sure that your press is working.
So for those who aren't familiar, what is a press room?
It is a big room where a big machine.
So that's not like the Situation Room on CNN?
No, no.
Okay. So just trying to make sure. So you're creating, is this like, so would that be used for instance, companies that are creating like coding for their supplies and materials, or what? Like, what is it used for?
Gosh, there's a lot of stuff that way more stuff is printed on than you would think is printed, and certainly way more stuff than I would think thought was printed when I started off on this journey. So all the diapers and toilet paper are printed on, for instance. So diapers you maybe would have imagined because they have the characters on them, but to get the plies of the toilet paper to print together, there's actually like a printing that happens, and all the cups and paper plates and all of that stuff is printed on.
Like, it's like
Yeah,
the solo cups, the way that they
yeah,
have the little logo at the bottom. Oh, so it's used for that.
yeah. And when you get, not just so this obviously is like printed on what my daughter has scribbled on it, but, there's like there's colored stuff printed on the cardboard itself. But when you get something that maybe there's like a promo out for a movie or something and you'll get a box, there's actually like they'll print on paper and then that paper gets applied to the cardboard box in a printing like process, and then a coating gets applied over that in a process that looks quite a bit like printing on top of it. So there's all manner of things end up looking like printing. And then even I'm having kombucha right here. This is not a beer. There's this stuff will like get printed onto a sleeve, and then the sleeve will get shrunk onto the can, and that's how it gets onto the can. So there's just all sorts of basically anything that has a picture or writing on it is printed.
So are your end customers like really big, like consumer goods manufacturers, or?
Those end up being most of the time either my customers or sometimes even my customers' customers.
Okay, so you're going deep down the rabbit hole. I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, it's interesting. They always say the riches in the niches. That's really niche, but I just wonder, like, how do we even sell that? Like, we're gonna give you like some chemicals that'll go into your other chemicals that'll go into your print job. Like,
Yeah,
what's the
yeah.
process like?
So we'll get into this when we get into channels. It's so or maybe let's just go to channels,
Sure.
because it'll make a lot more sense. 95% of our sales are through some form of distribution, and we end up calling them dealers, whether they're true pure play distributors or whether they're OEM distributors. And our best customers, by which I mean people who really get the value proposition, turn out to be what we call OEM distributors. And those are people who have something that our products make function really well. So that could be the makers of the press, it could be the makers of the printing plates, it could even be the makers of ink. Because our most technical product is a product called Fountain Solution. And what that does is it maintains what is called ink water balance on the printing plate. Broad strokes, printing is all about getting water to be where the ink isn't supposed to be. so that when the printing plate touches the thing that's being printed on, the ink goes where it's supposed to go and the water goes where the ink isn't supposed to be.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah. And the fountain solution helps maintain on the surface of the printing plate that balance.
Got it. So when you talk about quality, I mean, I guess I'm trying to think about, like, I understand distributors are selling it, but how does anybody know if your stuff is good or not? If it's just, yeah, I guess
Well,
like if the water separates properly.
yeah. So what good means is basically like how many impressions, like how many times does that printing plate touch the substrate
Uh-huh.
before you have to take the printing plate out
Okay.
and put a new printing plate in. So there's like a pretty clear, and like that for industrials, like, downtime and like how long can you keep running before you have to make a change again is like a pretty clear,
Yeah. Is that
kind of thing. And it's not this I like say this to people all the time. Like there isn't, and this is the beauty of our industry, there is not like one fountain solution that is like the best fountain solution, because the thing that it's actually important to get the right fountain solution is different based on the machine, the printing plate, the ink, and what you're printing on. And so it's the reason that technical expertise is valuable is having somebody who's there to see what they're doing and say like, oh, no, 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 you don't want this one, you want this one. Or you could be using the right one, or you could be using too much or too little of it.
got it.
Or you could be using the right amount, or you could be sending too much water through. Like it could have not like.
So the OEM partners and the distribution partners are kind of
Yeah.
like the troubleshooting or like advising whoever's going to make the purchase on like what probably would work and what wouldn't.
Well, and it's even we have several distributors who are ink manufacturers. Like these ones will say like, "Oh man, this product is like the best thing," and these other ones will be like, "That one is dog shit," and it's not. It's not that product per se is a bad
Yeah.
product. It's that like the fit between it's horses for courses.
So how much, like, I don't know if this is something you track, but like every month, how many, like, I guess I don't even know how we would measure it, but like in terms of the chemicals you're producing, is it gallons? Is it, I don't know. Like how much are you putting out per month?
Thousands and thousands of gallons. We actually we like just did a big ERP system upgrade, and so I can tell you actually, in the month of March, people placed orders for 160,000 gallons.
Jeez.
Yeah. And like, more or less that'll be about how many gallons we made.
It's not flammable, is it?
We don't make any flammable. Flammable has a technical definition. Flammable
Yeah.
is different than combustible is different
Yeah.
than some other stuff. We don't make any flammable chemicals in-house. Our facilities are not rated for that. We don't have the right fire suppression systems. We have a network of blender partners, so like third-party toll blenders. We sell some flammable products that are made by those third-party toll blenders. About 30% of what we sell goes through that manufacturing channel.
So is there,
Those tend to be, so we make some super technical chemicals, and then there's some other stuff that we have a right to sell because we are in the press room that is used alongside it. The flammable stuff is made of solvents and is mostly used for cleaning. Because to get ink off, you need some solvent, and the flammable stuff tends to be cleaning solvents.
yeah. So what kind of experience do you need to be involved in these manufacturing processes? It sounds kind of like complex. I mean, maybe it's not, but it sounds like a lot goes into it.
The people who make the chemicals day to day are mostly high school graduates. We have we have a training program for making sure that they stay safe. And then we have a compliance officer who has a master's degree, and we have a vice president of operations who has a mechanical engineering degree. We have in our product development, we have a group of people we work with who have expertise in sort of various lanes of the product development. Are mostly We call them the Council of Emeritus Chemists, because they're mostly retired or semi-retired. And
Yeah.
we ask them questions, and then they'll sort of send us off in directions of things to pursue, and we'll make some samples, and we'll do some tests, and we'll tell them how that came out, and then we'll iterate that way.
So you still create new products over time.
Yeah, things are things keep changing. There's still innovations happening. The industry is moving towards UV cured inks because you don't have to wait as long for things to dry, but there's still changes in the composition of the like little pieces of rubber that are in the presses that
Yeah.
are used, and like that changes what cleaning solvents you can use because that shrinks the little pieces of rubber, and that's bad. And so you have to keep messing around with that. And then depending on what you're printing on, that changes what kind of light you can use to cure the inks, and that changes what is in the inks.
Got it.
And when the inks change, then what you need to maintain the ink water balance, and then also what you need to use in order to clean the ink off changes. So there's sort of like constant tinkering around. Then there's a lot of complaining about paper quality. People say that the press rooms keep wanting to use cheaper and cheaper paper that has like more and more dust in it. So dust control and keeping dust from building up on the printing plates in a way that causes the presses to shut down is like another axis of innovation. We have a lot of work that we're doing on formulas that have what we call calcium control features that are like trying to chemically capture the calcium molecules and get them off of the printing plate before they build up and scratch the plates, which is really bad.
And does that create a need? I guess I'm trying to think about revenue growth here because I understand you're essentially like a private equity backed platform. So you're going to have revenue targets, growth targets over the next 10-year period. Sounds like the customers are the customers. Do they like the new products? Is this how you ink like incremental gains, or how do you approach that?
So the fountain solution product that I mentioned, like that's a relatively high margin product.
Mhm.
And if we're going to stay making those high margins, we've got to keep having the best solution on the market, or we won't have a right to continue
Yeah.
playing them. And honestly, the R&D is not that expensive. Like if you were like trying to rent press time and like run up like that would get really, really expensive. But for what we do, it's take a little bit of this out, do some tests to make sure that at worst, like that it's not going to break anything, and then get someone who trusts you to run it on a small job. And like you give them the product for free to do that. So it's not that expensive to
Yeah.
do that kind of product development.
Are folks pretty open to trying new products? I guess if the price is free, that makes everything more interesting.
If they are the ones having the problem, then
Yeah.
yes, because what that looks like to them is really good technical service where they're having a lot of calcium buildup and you have gone and you've custom formulated something for them. And then you say, we've gone to the lab and we've made this for you.
Got it. So
Why
I
don't you try?
understand. So it's not that you're maybe like, oh, what could we do better? It's that the customer's having some sort of press room issue, and then you go and
Yeah.
try to solve their specific issue, let them pilot
Yeah.
it for you.
So the super good technical service and the product development are like they're of a piece with each other.
Got it. Got it. That makes a lot of sense. And I think that I'll get into my next question because I understand you've done one of the scariest things there is in raise prices. It seems like a very scary. You don't want to lose customers, especially with this. It seems like there's probably not like this big bucket of customers. If you lose half, you can get another half. It's sort of like the customers are the customers. You have a good technical service, but what was your approach with raising prices? Because that's something that I think people know is important and smart, but the risks sometimes are too scary for people to pull the trigger.
Yeah. Well, so some context on our price increase and what it is, how big it is, and why. We we make chemicals. 95% of our materials are in some way derived from petrochemicals.
Yeah.
We sit here on what day 39 of it's definitely not a war with Iran.
Of course not.
And maybe 2-3 weeks ago, we started hearing from some of our suppliers that we were going to be seeing 20, 30, 40% price increases on some of our raw materials. And uh, the scariest thing was that I mentioned that about 30% of our products are like blended finish, like toll blended finished goods
Mhm.
that we just pass through. And I'll be honest, we don't have great margins on those to begin with.
Yeah.
So we got 40% price increases on those, and we have somewhere between 15 and 25% margins on those products. So, which is when you never touch the product is fine, but that's really scary.
What was those conversations like? Is it just
So I
it's out of our
mean,
hands?
yeah, they're like we're getting these price increases from our suppliers effective this date. This will be your new price. But, like take it or leave it,
Yeah.
basically. Like to some extent, there, it is moving up the chain.
Yeah.
So that kind of is what it is. Most of our contracts with our customers say that we have to give them 30 days notice. There's a couple that are a little longer than that. And these were mostly, 10 days to 2 weeks warning. So that is not great. So we had to very quickly and without knowing what all of our price increases were going to be, just start moving
Yeah.
on something. So the team started going and we started communicating with customers. And then I guess I'd also just like big crayon math on this. We spend about 60 cents of every dollar that comes in as revenue on materials and supplies, another 15 cents on sales and marketing, another 15 cents on the back office and um, oversight, stuff like that, another 7 on debt service. So that's 3 cents left over
Right.
for net income. So if the 60 cents becomes 80 cents or 90 cents, we're toast. And it could be by the end of a month, we could be somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000 behind. And if it went on for a quarter, we could be at $1,000,000. And I think as you know, like we don't have a spare $1,000,000 sitting around. Like we don't have access to that kind of
Yeah.
extra debt to just draw on. So the way our pricing works, we have price grids that tell people what their prices are, and those are available to our order desk so that when people place a PO, they check the PO against what their price grids are. So the mechanism by which we share this is you get a meeting with the account level contact.
Mhm.
The way we chose to do it this time, because we had done a very, very small price increase the previous summer, basically because we hadn't since I bought the business, and had it not go well. So this time we were like, all right, here's the person we're going to deliver it to. This is the
Yeah.
person responsible for doing it. Much
So what
more like
so what didn't go right? Just like the people who thought they should be informed didn't find out until the last minute?
so. Our customer data has like long been a mess, and this is the case with a lot of businesses that were just they had a founder at the center of them. Like his customers were personal friends, and like he didn't really need to have a CRM that said this is the account level contact and therefore the
Yeah.
person the price grid should go to, because he knew exactly who the price grid should go to. So when we did our price change last summer, the price grid sometimes maybe went to like a frontline sales rep, but not necessarily the person who worked in purchasing. So like, sure, the price grid went to the customer, but when they went to buy something, it was a surprise that their prices had changed. And that is not good. So we took a much firmer hand this time. We chose to send a carefully worded email that basically said, I'm sure you've been reading the news. There's a lot of stuff going on. Due to all of that, we're getting big increases from our suppliers. We're going to need to be pushing a price increase effective this date. Here's what your new price increases are. We want to have a meeting to sit down with you and talk through this. So we wanted to make sure that it was felt that the personal touch of it was really important. Because we had this experience of getting these like kind of impersonal emails from our suppliers and not enjoyed it. And we're already kind of outrunning how come I don't get to get all of my communications directly from Rachel
Yeah.
thing anyways. Making sure that everybody was going to get an opportunity to have a meeting with somebody was important, and we wanted to make sure that we could do something personal about each of them. But at the same time, we had this 30 days notice period, and like we needed to start that 30 days
Yeah.
clock.
Yeah. Immediately. 30 days ago.
Uh,
Is there a lesson in that? Because I mean, in your example, I mean, that's a huge pricing shock from your supply side.
yeah.
The 60 cents to 80 cents is, doesn't happen every day, but the 60 cents to 61 cents is probably very common. And people will,
Oh, yeah.
because they're so afraid to pull the trigger on pushing down the price changes that they're facing, that they eventually get to the 80, and then
Mhm.
they're just like underwater. And regardless of how quality their products are, it becomes too hard to like make up. Do you think that it should be a annual or quarterly look at prices, or how do you think about that?
We should be, and we've heard this from a couple of our larger distributors. Like when in meetings that I've had, when I said, well, we haven't done a price change since before I bought the business, the distributor was kind of like, well, like that's kind of on you for not having done a price change since before.
Yeah.
Like our other suppliers do them quarterly.
Wow.
Like this is going up by 5 cents or 10 cents basically every single quarter. And I was like, well, thank you for telling me.
That's useful information. Thanks.
But like we do from our suppliers get, you know, changes. Like a couple things will go down and several things will go up
Yeah.
basically every quarter because that's the direction things move in. But if you are sort of constantly tinkering, then the occasions on which you need to make a big adjustment are much fewer. And it's not such a shock
Yeah.
when you eventually need to do it. I think if we were more in the habit of doing, like, if like the quarterly price change process was a process that we had, it wouldn't be, if this was just a thing that we did, it wouldn't be such a gargantuan task.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It would just be a thing that happened.
Who's in charge of kind of like analyzing the pricing? Is that a Rachel job, or do you have someone on your team that looks at that?
We have somebody with the title of product and pricing manager. He does a quarterly costing grid that are we have a industry specific ERP system that is called Data Core. Yeah, one of the people who owns it teaches the Columbia Search Fund class.
Small world, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like killer thing that it does is that
Yeah.
it knows all of your formulas, and it does the like when you make a batch of stuff, it takes the right amount of stuff out of your raw materials inventory and then creates the right amount of stuff in finished goods inventory. And it's very, very good at that.
Yeah.
And because it knows all of that, he can once a quarter pull out, here is what these products are currently costing us to make based on all the batches we made this quarter.
Well, that's
Yeah, and like that pulls out a costing grid, and then that creates when somebody is putting out a quote, he's got something that is like current information.
so it's like real time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So it used to be that when a salesperson so we have a grid that is like if you just call in and say, I'm like Bob the dealer and I would like to buy some stuff, there's like a price that you will get. Then if you are on our preferred dealers list and you call in and you say, like, Steve, if you like give me a good price on this, like I will be able to sell 1,000,000 gallons and you'll make so much money. It used to be that what would happen is that Steve would come running directly to me and I would have to like do like a special pricing every single time. And that was basically all I did. And when we created this product and pricing manager job, we put in place a by product category. So like the fountain solutions have a target, like what is our target market? So we have like something we're trying to get for very technical products and something we're trying to get for like more commoditized products and something like that. And so what happens now is that in that situation, Steve goes to John, and according to this quarter's quarterly costing grid, and it gets more complicated because there's like freight costs based on the geography of it all and stuff like that. Steve will quote a price, and then if that is still not going to get it done, then Steve can appeal to me. But like at least not all of those.
Right. No, I mean that seems like a really valuable, especially in like, manufacturing, also for distributors, just to like look at all the missing pieces on all the manufacturers they're working with. But do you think that there's a certain size or like that you have to get to before you can afford to do that, or what made you say you
Yeah.
were
Like you have to afford to put a position, like a person in that role.
and what like where were you at the time where you decided to hire that person on in terms of like revenue?
Let's see, we hired John in the January after I bought the business. So
Okay,
Tower was like 15 million in revenue right then.
got it.
And we had someone who was managing the price grids resign. And so we were backfilling a role.
Because I've seen that mixed into like an operations person or someone who's in charge of ordering. The owner comment when it's really small, but it's interesting to understand at what point it needs to be its own kind of like strategic focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Middle management.
The having target margins and like not having sales in charge of what the target margin was going to be was like profitability went up when
Yeah.
we installed a little bit of discipline because all of a sudden we like weren't getting carried away with every single opportunity. That was a good lesson, but it was like a tough it was like really new, and the person we put in that position was like not popular with the sales team for a while. There was like a lot of grumbling.
we can't we can't do 40% discounts on every order. Win rates changed. I don't know what happened. Oh, no, that's been good. I did want to get to you've done some recent acquisition activity. You want to talk a little bit about that and kind of where that fit into your plan for the company?
Yeah, it wasn't something I was, so I had like when you do a deal deck, you like put out there like here's some things we might also do. But I think
Yeah.
at least for me, that was a little bit like like this is just like a slide. But then the owner of a direct competitor approached us, and the guy that I bought Tower products from had looked at making that acquisition before before I bought Tower.
Mhm.
And he was actually looking at carving out just a specific part of the business, and he was like gonna just buy the formulas and the customer relationships or something. And it kind of fell apart because he gave them a low offer.
Never happens to me.
Yeah. But then unfortunately, the very shortly after that, the owner of the second business passed away. And
Oh.
the second business was actually in the hands of the son of that owner. And he, having learned that I bought Tower, approached us and said, like, do you wanna explore this again? And we started looking at it, and it was actually a really good fit. Got us into a couple of product lines that Tower didn't make at the time. Coatings, which are almost everything that has been printed is in some way coated. And then silicone lubricants, which are sometimes for the machines, but sometimes just sprayed onto the printed pieces so that they slide nicely over each other. Um, those are relatively high margin for this particular business because they're able to emulsify directly from the oils themselves, which is a differentiated capability. So that's nice. And so we started looking at it, and it added about 50% to the size of the business. It
Wow.
got us. It had lab space, which Tower didn't have, and a full-time chemist, which Tower didn't have on staff at the time. So that was good. And there was just a lot of things that were complementary about it.
Yeah.
So went ahead and did that. It was relatively easy to get funding too because they were direct competitors with each other. So like the deck for the bank and the deck for the investors was basically like did you like this has been going
Just
well.
try.
Yeah, like you like this has been going well. You liked this. Would you like 50% more? So it was relatively quick to get done. It was pretty interesting as well. So the other talent it got us was my husband had worked in mergers and acquisitions before he went to business school. And then that turned the business into something that was large enough that he could quit the job he was in and join us. And so that meant that I was able to bring on somebody I couldn't have previously afforded
Yeah.
to hire, and like really changed the lifestyle that we had because he was working as a management consultant. So like
Yeah.
it was very much, like I have to plan my Tower travel around his consulting travel, which like could pop up at any minute.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Like all of a sudden like we can plan around Tower and like what's right for Tower
Yeah.
and things like that.
Do you guys ever have a conversation that's not about press rooms?
We have conversations about the ERP system. After we have conversations about chemical formula. Yeah,
Party conversation, dinner party
yeah,
conversation.
terrible at social gatherings.
Yeah. No, it's been good. I had a couple more to get you out on. I think I wanted to ask, since you've been a little bit into this, now you have kind of a company double the size. If you had to kind of just start over with Tower Products all over again, what would you do differently?
But like as an acquisition, or like if I was like starting a Tower as a start.
If you
Oh, I like just like four formulas. Brian, we have 4,500 active formulas. It's ridiculous.
name them all in
Um,
reverse order right now.
because it's on one hand, like we're small batch chemicals. Our like
Mm.
biggest blending tank only makes 13 drums at a time, and a drum is 55 gallons. So like it's not much different than you would see going to like a, a craft brewery.
Yeah.
So it's fine to have things that we don't sell that much of, but 4,500 is
That's a lot of.
is ridiculous. But like once somebody is selling something and is buying something and they're happy buying it and they're not requesting tech visits and like you're making margin on it, like you're not going to disturb that and like have to send somebody there to like do a tech visit to change them over. If you look at one of our newer products, which is it's alcohol substitute, they used to use basically rubbing alcohol in the press room for reasons. And then we stopped doing that because it's really bad for people's lungs. And so now we have this product called alcohol substitute, and that is a relatively recent innovation. We only have two of them, and they're like basically our top two sellers because we sell so many of them. And it's great. Like we just, on days when we make it, we'll just make 5 batches of that, like right in a row. So if I were starting from scratch, I would like exercise much greater control over the product proliferation, and I would like think much more deliberately about the product names.
Yeah. How do you get to
People get confused.
500? Is that just maybe the customer is using something else, and so you're trying to like recreate all of the ingredients that they have, or you just think of ideas? This would be cool if we tried this, and you just
There's
then
there's like there's like this product but make it blue, and then this product but make it blue but make it high pH, and then make it low pH, and then like put the calcium control ingredient in it, or like put extra calcium control. Like it gets away from you really quickly.
yeah. All right, big lesson: control your SKUs, control how many products
Yeah.
you want to make for your sanity. All right, Rachel, that was awesome. If people want to stay in touch with you or contact you, what would be a good way to reach out?
Email.
All right,
Uh, I am Rachel@towerproducts.com.
drop
Very
that in the show
simple.
notes.
Yeah.
All right, well, Rachel, thanks for the lesson today. It's great catching up with you as always.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Brian.